Welcome to Stochastic MLB Live Before Lock. I'm your host, Neil Orfield. You can find me on Twitter at PlayerQDFS. I'm here by myself today. First time in a while I've done a solo show. It's Sunday. People are busy. People are on vacation. So you just get me today, but hopefully you guys are here to keep me company. You can tell me what you want to talk about. Don't have a lot planned today, to be honest. I figured I don't really remember what we did the last time I was soloing these shows. But I think this time I'm just going to take a look at the stochastic tools, talk about what looks good in the top stacks tool, top pitchers tool, etc. I'm going to hand build some lineups today. I think we're going to go right on to DraftKings and FanDuel, hand build some lineups. If you guys have any suggestions, things you want to talk about, I'll move my camera a little bit. I'm a little bit low here. Let me know if there's anything that you want to talk about. Happy to just hang out, talk anything you guys want to talk about. This show is sponsored by Caesars. You've probably seen the offer that we have. I think it's new this past week. It's going to be around until September 19th. You bet $50 on Caesars, you're going to get $250 in bonus bets in $50 increments over the course of 5 weeks. Great deal. Obviously, 5xing the amount that you put in is a great offer that you're not finding all that often. Of course, you need to be 21 plus to play in most places. And if you or someone who has a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. But honestly, check out that Caesars deal. If you can sports bet in your state and you haven't signed up for Caesars, you got to take advantage of these offers when they're new, because they usually get worse over time. They almost never get better over time. So right now is the time to take advantage of this offer if you haven't already done so. Let me pull up what we're going to be talking about today. Pull up the slate. All right. So here is Fantasy Cruncher. I think I'm just going to work right out of the top stacks tool and top hitters tool rather than, I'm not going to go game by game, just going to go start with the bats, start looking at some top stacks, and then move on to the top pitchers tool. And then from there, we will build a few lineups. I'll build a couple on FanDuel. I think I've reserved 2 lineups, 2 entries on FanDuel and 5 on DraftKings. So just going to be building those out today, and maybe speculate a little bit about what people are going to be playing in the live final on FanDuel today. Our own Matthew Bellman was on the show with me yesterday. Today, he's not on the show because he is making lineups for that FanDuel live final. Pretty exciting there. Thank you guys. Thanks for hanging out. Is EMAC in here? I see a hell yeah, EMAC. I know EMAC posted his article. You should check that out also if you haven't already done so. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of comments about EMAC, but EMAC is not here, sadly. I wish EMAC was here with me, but it's just going to be me today. All right. How do I get into the Stochastic Hall of Fame? Mark asks. You just need to go to stochastic.com/avatar. You can download that our avatar, make it your avatar on both FanDuel and DraftKings. Finish in the top 3 of a contest of 5,000 or more, and then tweet your win to @StochasticHOF. Or if you don't have Twitter, you can just email it to us, a screenshot of your win with the Stochastic avatar. And if you haven't heard back from anybody, just email support@stochastic.com. They're very fast to respond when you email support. So if you already tweeted it out, you haven't heard back, just email them. They'll get to you a lot faster if you do that. And then you'll get a shout out from Lofty as well. So congrats if you've already qualified. Congrats. If not, hopefully we can get it today. All right. Do we have any questions? Chat going quicker than I was expecting it to on a Sunday morning. So I'm struggling to keep up with you guys, but I'm happy that so many of you are here hanging out with me, because I was going to be pretty boring if it's just me by myself. So hopefully you guys can keep me entertained. Neil doing the Darren Sharper. I'm trying to think what that means. I don't know, Logan, what that means, what the Darren Sharper is. What did Darren Sharper do? I don't know. All right. Let's jump into the top stacks tool. And unfortunately, I just showed off yesterday that I can now bring up your chats onto the screen on YouTube. And now today, since I'm solo, I'm not going to really be able to do that, because I'm not going to have to be on this screen instead of in StreamYard. So we'll jump into it though. All right. So top stack of the day, as you can see here, Baltimore going up against Ty Block in Colorado. Sadly, this one is not in Colorado, but we have some nice positive leverage here on the Baltimore stack. 7% ownership, 8% chance of being the top stack. Actually, let me refresh this just to make sure that I have the most up-to-date data. I think it's probably been 25, 30 minutes since I got in here. So I want to make sure that I've got the best. Oh, and it flipped. All right. So now we've got the Dodgers as the top stack. Honestly, doesn't change all that much most of the time, unless there's been, late scratch or something happens. Usually the top contenders are staying the top contenders, but Baltimore moves to number 2. We do have the Dodgers at the top of the board here. 8.5% chance to be in the top stack, 8.6% chance projected ownership. Usually I just round these numbers, whatever the closest number is, because it's not exact to the 10th. That's not going to be exact, but Dodgers looking really good in Fenway today. Nice place to be hitting for the Dodgers. If you can get to the Dodgers, obviously you are happy to do so. Here, let me make sure I've got chat pulled up in case you guys have any specific. William Wester says compared to Sharper can't be good. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, he's a molester. Okay. Phew. I don't know. In jail for life. Okay. This is I did not know that about Darren Sharper. So yeah, it doesn't seem like a compliment. All right. Oh, Duluth in the house. All right. Hell yeah, Power Books. I was in Duluth maybe a month or so ago. All right. Baltimore, number 2. We already started there. They are not in Coors Field, but still, anytime you're facing a Colorado pitcher, it's usually pretty good. A little bit of positive leverage there. 8% ownership, 8% chance to be in the top stack. Baltimore looks good. Chicago, again, positive leverage. A lot of positive leverage here at the top of the board today. That's kind of fun to see. Makes it harder to predict who people are going to be playing in the championship. That is, I guess we're on the DraftKings data. Maybe it's a little bit different for FanDuel, but it's a lot of solid teams here at the top on DraftKings today. I don't really think you need to get too far down the board because we have all of these top teams projected for relatively low ownership. Now, you will notice that all of them have, from a top value perspective, negative leverage. So probably you're going to need to build lineups that have, start with a 5-man of one of these top teams, and then you're going to have to build in you can see the White Sox down here, a great value team. Pittsburgh, we've got some options lower down the board, but you're probably not going to be able to mix in both, like 2 of the top offenses along with good pitchers. Probably need to do just one of the top offenses and then fill out some value elsewhere. But cool to see that we have a lot of pretty flat ownership across the top. Nobody getting crazy steamed and flat in terms of top stack odds as well. So that's a lot of options today for those who are in a live final, if it is similar on FanDuel. But the Cubs look good against Bailey Falter in Pittsburgh. Houston, 4th on the board, 4% projected ownership, 7% chance to be in the top stack. Again, 2% chance to be in the top value stack. So from that perspective, they're going to be expensive. Toronto. Okay, so they are getting the most teams. So here's the one team that doesn't look great. I get it, though. They're playing against Noah Syndergaard, gives up a stolen base. Anytime somebody gets on first, I think Freddie Freeman stole a base on Noah Syndergaard the last time out. It's just maybe we'll see Vlad get a stolen base today. I don't know, but negative leverage here. 11% projected ownership on Toronto, 6% chance to be in the top stack, 3% chance to be in the top value stack. Man, that's a tough fade. Just looking at the data, this is a fade to me. That is not one of the teams that I'm likely to go to if I'm hand building lineups. But man, just playing against Noah Syndergaard, it's tough not to want to. It's cold. Couldn't remember. Do we figure out why he was saying? Oh, Greg Jennings. Oh, he's thinking of the Madden video. Gotcha. Okay. So it was meant to be a compliment. I appreciate the attempt at a compliment, Logan. Yeah, but those are very different people, Greg Jennings and Darren Sharper. All right. So yeah, Toronto, probably the one team among the top stacks here that I would be less inclined to play in a single entry, even though the matchup is great with Noah Syndergaard. Do they have any stolen base threats at the bottom of the order? Maybe you could work some of those in if there are stolen base threats who are not going to get a ton of ownership. Maybe we'll look at that later. But as a 5-man stack, getting that much ownership, given how many good options we have today, it's a little bit tougher to want to get there. Philly against Drew Rom was not great his first time out last week, but 5% projected ownership for the Phillies, 6% chance of being the top stack. I'm curious how Drew Rom, I believe last week in the Drew Rom start, we were playing both sides. We were playing the offense against Drew Rom, and then in other lineups, we're also playing some Drew Rom just because I think he was making his major league debut last time out. So kind of interesting when you get those guys. He got batted around a little bit last time. Philly's going to look really good against him once again. Miami, you can see here, 6% projected ownership, 6% chance to be in the top stack, 6% chance to be in the top value. Miami looks great. It's in Miami, so not the best place for bats, but great matchup with Trevor Williams. They're looking solid today. San Diego, I think they were higher on the board last time I looked. Looks like they moved down a little bit. 6% projected ownership, 6% chance to be in the top stack. A lot of very similar teams at the top here who are just expensive, but they have good odds of being the top stack. Texas, similar, a little bit lower odds, a little bit tougher matchup with Bailey Ober, but lower ownership to 4% ownership, 5% chance to be in the top stack. Texas looks good also. All right, rather than going through all of these, I'm just going to point out anything now that, sorry guys, that stands out. I knew it was going to be tough today after struggling to do a 2-person show yesterday with the cough I have. I am feeling better today than I was yesterday, but obviously still have a little bit of a cough, still a little bit stuffed up. So I'm going to hopefully get through this, but bear with me. All right. Yeah, Clayton, good point. Give up some likes. Yeah, appreciate that, Clayton. If you guys could like the video, that does help us out quite a bit when you give us those likes. Sportsman says, you got to get that cough checked out, Neil. I ain't playing. I mean, it's just a standard cough. It's not a particularly bad cough at this point. I've had these before this bad. So nothing that's shaking my whole body at this point. Yeah, Oakland, some nice. They have good top value odds. So maybe you mix them in a little bit with some of the top stacks. Particularly, they are facing Mike Clevenger, 22% ownership. So some benefits to playing Oakland here. I guess you can make a case for them as your value secondary stack. The White Sox obviously stand out. 15% chance of being the top value. 6% projected ownership. I know Paul Blackburn is somebody that has been pitching better this year. We're expecting him to be better than he has been in the past. So maybe it's a little bit of a scary matchup, but he historically has not been great. So if you want to target White Sox bats against Paul Blackburn, I think that makes some sense at not extremely high ownership, 15% chance being top value. I think they make sense as a secondary stack. Milwaukee looks fine. Pittsburgh, 9% chance being the top value stack. Again, they stand out as a stack that you could play as your secondary stack. St. Louis, I don't really want to target Nola. St. Louis, I think, typically better against lefties is at least my impression. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I believe they're typically better. They have a lot of strong righty bats. I know I think Gorman might be a lefty, so maybe he could be a one-off against Aaron Nola, somebody to consider, but not a stack that I'm really looking to get to. They do have some positive leverage here, so 150 set, they might be a stack I might try to get to. They certainly can put up some runs, but not my favorite spot there. Tampa, similar. It's not the best matchup in the world, but I'd probably be more inclined to get to Tampa than St. Louis. Slightly lower ownership, better odds of being the top value stack. My Twins actually look pretty good today against Jordan Montgomery. He's no longer a $12,000 pitcher or whatever he was a couple weeks ago. That was never really justified. Twins could certainly put up some runs on Jordan Montgomery, as you see here. 2% projected ownership, 3% chance to be in the top stack, and 5% chance of being in the top value stack. I think the Twins could make some sense as a secondary stack. Probably not playing them too often as a primary stack, but I think they could make some sense. Get some of those lefties in there as a secondary stack. Yankees look okay, 4% chance to be the top value. Colorado actually looks pretty good here against Jack Flaherty. Not sure what's going on with Flaherty. I'm guessing he's going to be a pitcher that a lot of people are going to be on today. He got crushed his last time out against San Diego. I believe he just missed. He skipped a start, or maybe just pushed it back a day or two. He said he was not feeling great. Something was not right with him. He didn't really go into specifics, but there was something going on with Jack Flaherty where he pushed back his last start a little bit, or this start a little bit. So who knows if he is feeling better or what's going on there, but Colorado is sort of interesting. If you want to play the narrative of Jack Flaherty maybe isn't right at low ownership in Baltimore, you could certainly make a case for Colorado. 8% chance of being the top value stack. Washington looks fine. Cleveland, some positive leverage in terms of value stack odds. Probably not playing Detroit against Verlander. Okay, so that is a general recap of the offenses. I'm going to check in with you guys in chat, see if you have any questions about this, but honestly, this is okay. Glad to hear that Sean likes this format better than going game by game. I think this makes more sense for me in particular as a solo show, since I'm not really in the nitty gritty with the stats. This is honestly all I look at is top pitchers, top stacks. This is how I build my lineups with somebody else who is really in the nitty gritty, when I'm here with Bellman or Emac or somebody who does get into it, I think the game by game makes more sense. But since it's just me here, I think this is definitely the better format. Okay. Who are the 3 best options for home runs? Yeah, we can do that. We could look at exactly what my process is for the home runs. I'm going to give you an inside look at my process. I go to the top batters tool. I'm refreshing to make sure I have the updated info again. I go to all positions, and then I sort by home run odds. So top 3, we got Kyle Schwarber, 31% chance, Ryan Mountcastle, 30% chance, and Vlad Guerrero, 29% chance as our top 3. Juan Soto not far behind. A lot of pretty good options. There are days occasionally when we have like somebody with a 40% chance of hitting a home run. Those are pretty rare though. This is pretty standard to have just a few, 30% odd bats. So those are some of our top home run picks. And this is something that, so typically I'm building in Fantasy Cruncher, but this is a good tool to look at if you in combination with the top stacks tool. Like if you're thinking, okay, I want to figure out what stack do I want to play here. So for example, let's say we want to play the Phillies. Well, which bats do you want to play? I mean, you can just usually it's the top of the order. Those are going to be your best bats in general. But another good way of looking at it is you can sort by team, which bats look the best for the Phillies. And you can look at like whatever metric you want to look at here. Home run odds, you can look at chance of being top value. You can look at top fantasy point percentage at their position. So Real Muto, 7% chance of being the top scoring catcher. Trey Turner, 6% chance of being the top scoring shortstop, et cetera, et cetera. This is a great tool in conjunction with the top stacks tool to figure out who specifically do you want to play within the stack. And, Sosa, like he's towards the bottom, but 11% chance of being the top fantasy point per dollar scorer at third base. That's a big number there. So that's something you might want to consider in building your lineups. All right, let me get back to chat. Appreciate you guys hanging out. A lot of good conversation going on. All right. More tools better than less mumbo jumbo. Certainly when it's me, it's better when I'm just looking at the tools. Specifically for baseball. Other sports I dig in a little bit more, but for baseball I just really use the tools. So happy to do it this way. No, Hit Power asks, Neil, are you going to be doing Sunday shows now? Not typically. I actually traded out next Saturday, so I'm not going to be on the show next Saturday. I traded out that show to do this show solo because we didn't have anybody else who could do a show on Sunday this week. So yeah, made that trade. Happy to make that trade next weekend. No idea what I got going on, but my wife's sister is in town with her husband. The state fair is going on here in Minnesota, so happy to have that Saturday off from the show. I have a Philly stack, but I'm in need of a third baseman, but I only have 3,200 left on DraftKings. Who do you choose? Thanks and good luck, Craig asks. So I believe Edmund Sosa probably fits in that, given how good his value looked. He's 2,200. So yeah, if you do you already have you used up all of your Phillies already? Do you already have all 5 of your Phillies in there? Because if not, I mean, leaving $1,000 on the table in MLB is nothing, not really an issue at all. So that is somebody to consider. Edmund Sosa, if you haven't used all of your Phillies already. All right. If trying to choose between Jordan or Tucker, who would you prefer? Let's go straight to the top batters tool. Who do you guys think is going to, which stack do you think is going to win the FanDuel live final today? Because that's pretty exciting. That's the most exciting thing going on today. So we have Jordan Alvarez. I mean, I guess if you have the salary to pay for Jordan Alvarez, he has better odds of being the top value scorer. He's going to project a slightly better than Kyle Tucker. What's the ownership there? He is higher owned, so it's actually it's a good question. So it depends on the rest of your lineup, but honestly, 2% ownership at one player is not going to really make or break it. So probably just go to Jordan Alvarez most of the time. If it's a super chalky lineup and you want to cut off 2% ownership, you could go with Tucker, but can't really go wrong between those two. Both have pretty good odds of being top fantasy scorer at their position. But yeah, slight lean toward Jordan Alvarez, but it's not a huge lean there. Obviously, both very good bats. Yes, Minnesota State Fair does have some crazy food, Steven. Was it on the show yesterday that Bellman was telling me that he maybe it was after, so maybe I shouldn't share too much of a private conversation, but apparently Bellman's TikTok is full of Minnesota State Fair food content. He was telling me about it yesterday. We have a lot of weird food in the Minnesota State Fair. That is, and most of it is deep fried, but not all of it. It's an interesting mix of food. I really like, there's Sweet Martha's. I think it's called Sweet Martha's cookies. Delicious. You get a whole bucket full of cookies, and then we used to drink a whole glass. I think they have unlimited milk. They probably still have that at the Minnesota State Fair. Used to be more appealing. These days, I don't think people are as often drinking glass after glass of milk. At least I'm not. Yeah, Nick says incredible people watching. Yes, it is. It is incredible people watching. It's a crowd. It's a crowd at the Minnesota State Fair. All right. If you guys have any other questions about bats, stacks, whatever, I am happy to answer them. But I'm going to move over to the pitching. We can look at some of the top pitching options, and then we will jump in, hand build a couple lineups on each of FanDuel and DraftKings. All right. So the top pitchers tool, and we're going to start by looking at DraftKings. Aaron Nola, top of the board. 23% chance of being one of your top two pitchers, 33% projected ownership, 7% chance of being the top two value pitcher. So that's your top pitcher of the day, Aaron Nola, but obviously pretty expensive at $10,400. Justin Verlander down here. I guess I shouldn't skip over Yusaka Kikuchi because he's number 2 on the board and much cheaper. So he looks great and also actually not getting that much ownership. 18% ownership, 17% chance of being a top two pitcher. Looks really good at $8,900. Verlander facing his old team in Detroit, 12% projected ownership, 15% chance of being a top two pitcher. Some nice positive leverage there on Verlander. Plenty of reason to get there. He also, after his last start, said something along the lines of he thinks he figured something out with his mechanics that is going to improve him. So if you want to factor that in, hard to factor that kind of thing into any kind of projection, but that's a narrative that's the kind of narrative. Like if I'm going to factor in a narrative, when a player specifically says they think they figured something out and they're going to be better, that's something that I factor in maybe at least slightly. It's kind of a tiebreaker for me, particularly when he's already in a great matchup with Detroit. So I'm definitely willing to play some Verlander today, but honestly, it's more because of we've got positive leverage here. I want to be clear. I'm not really playing him because of that narrative, but that is the kind of narrative that I, at least listen to. I'm willing to hear that kind of narrative. Jack Flaherty, 32% projected ownership, 15% chance of being a top two pitcher. Again, some volatility here. Got crushed in his last start. Came out when he was supposed to pitch, said he was not feeling right, so he skipped that one. And now he's starting today. When was that last start? I'm not sure if he just took a day off or. So it was on 8/15. Okay, so he did. He took a start off. Now he is back after he had general arm soreness. So who knows? Who knows what to make of that? But he took some time off. He's probably fine now. But that is the little bit of a risk with Jack Flaherty. Obviously, you love the matchup with Colorado. Carlos Rodon, tough matchup with Tampa. 29% projected ownership, 14% chance of being a top two pitcher, 13% chance of being a top two value pitcher. 7,700. The price is right. Matchup is tough. Some negative leverage. Not my favorite place to go, but he's also 5th on the board in terms of top two pitcher odds. Jordan Montgomery again, facing my Twins here in Minnesota. 11% ownership, 14% chance of being a top two pitcher. He does have some positive leverage. The price tag more reasonable than it was his last couple starts. I think he's been double digits. I think he actually got up to 11,000 or something, which seemed a bit much for Jordan Montgomery, but looks okay. Some positive leverage here today. Bailey Ober, some positive leverage there as well. 5% looks even more positive leverage. 5% projected ownership, 12% chance of being a top two pitcher. Looks pretty good. Zach Littell against the Yankees, 22% ownership, 11% chance of being a top two pitcher, 23% chance of being a top two value pitcher. So, nice price tag. Tough matchup with the Yankees. I think he has some strikeout upside. Let me actually look at where's my Fangraphs. spelled Zach wrong. It's Zach with a K. That's a Ben Folds song, right? Zach with a K. It's like part of a Ben Folds song name, I think. All right, let me look at the strikeout right here. Yeah, decent. It's not like it's pretty average, I'd say. So, all right. I thought he had better strikeout upside than that. All right, but getting back to it, yeah, Paul Blackburn. We've talked about it a few times on these shows. I think there are some underlying metrics that Josh and I think even maybe Adam had pointed to that Paul Blackburn might be improved this year somewhat, and he looks good here against the White Sox. 3% ownership, 10% chance of being a top 2 value pitcher, 7% chance of being 10% chance of being top 2 pitcher overall, 11% if you round up, 7% chance of being the top 2 value pitcher. So Blackburn looks pretty good here. Clevenger, obviously great matchup with Oakland, 21% ownership, 10% chance of being a top 2 value pitcher, 10% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. Looks pretty good. Waka Waka, man, he's expensive. Over 10,000 for Michael Waka in Milwaukee. 1% ownership, 9% chance of being a top 2 value pitcher, 2% chance of being, I'm doing this all wrong. 9% chance of being a top 2 pitcher, 2% chance of being a top 2 value pitcher. All right, I'm not going to go through all of them again. Drew Rom, sort of interesting. He's up to 5,000. I want to say he was the Stone Min last time, if I'm remembering correctly, but still only up to 5,000. He did have a strong strikeout rate in the minors. So that was something that we were talking about the last time. A reason that we were playing both sides there, that there were like seasons where he had like a 40% strikeout rate in the minors, which obviously it's not going to translate directly to the majors. So, all right, where was it? Strikeout rate. I've lost it now. I was right there. There we go. All right. So this is one start. He didn't show it last time out, but man, 44% strikeout rate. I don't know how many innings this was exactly, but even without that, I mean, he was upper 20s, across the board here. So showed some strikeout upside in the minors. Tough matchup with the Phillies in Philly, but you can make a case for it. 5% ownership, 27% chance of being a top 2 value pitcher, 7% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. I think that I would consider playing some Drew Rom, but as I said, extremely risky. And then down here, you typically in the top pitchers tool, you're finding a lot of pitchers at the bottom who have pretty good odds of being a top 2 point per dollar pitcher. So we have a few here: Trevor Williams, Bailey Falter, Noah Syndergaard. Still doesn't mean I'm necessarily going to get to these guys. They still have pretty low odds of being a top 2 pitcher, but there is a little bit of positive leverage there. So if that's what you have left in your salary, maybe you consider them. All right, let me get back into chat. All right, anybody have any questions or anything related to pitchers? Nice Kevin says Wisdom, Jones, Castellanos, Belt, home run parlay. Infinity odds. All right. Try that out. Oh, Craig says, yes, Neil, I have all 5 in my Philly stack, but thanks for your help and good luck. So if you're looking for a $3,200 third baseman or lower. Yeah, Damien says Adam drinks glass after glass of milk. Yeah, that's such a weirdo. Who that was one of the strangest things I've ever heard on a show, that he drinks a glass of milk alongside his bowl of cereal, and he didn't even realize it was weird. That was hilarious. All right, $3,200 third baseman. Let me take a look. I'm going to search for top fantasy point per dollar at third base. Where's position? Here are your top options at third base. Michael Busch looks like he is the second best option here. I guess the better way to do this would be to just sort by projection and then just find who projects the best below 3,200. So close with Patrick Wisdom. So it is Sosa, but yeah, you could go to Michael Busch since you already have your Phillies locked in. Or consider Vargas, whichever of these guys you prefer. Those are probably your best options for a 3,200 third baseman there. Is Emac here? I feel like people are responding to Emac, but I'm not seeing him. Do I just block him out? I don't know. No, I would never. All right. Neil, if you shaved your beard and made your mustache a handlebar mustache, what would your wife do? That's a really good question. I don't know. I don't think she would love it. I can say that much. She would not be happy. Eric, what do you think of Nationals and Marlins stack? I know it isn't the best hitting environment. Yeah, we can get back to. Of course, you can always rewind also, but yeah, Miami looks pretty neutral. I do like Miami today. I feel like Emac may have written up Miami because of the matchup with Trevor Williams as one of his top stacks. But yeah, they look pretty good. They're pretty, they're neutral in terms of ownership versus top stack odds, but nice matchup with Trevor Williams. And then was it Washington was your second? Yeah, similar, to be honest. They're getting basically owned as much as they should be, not stacks that I am, or at least Washington, not a stack that I'm going out of my way to get. Miami actually is a very, very interesting stack to me today. I think that they have a lot of nice parts, and we can look at specifically, get rid of this filter, move to looking at Miami. So Jazz Chisholm, obviously you're going to want to play some. I guess I can look in Fantasy Cruncher also for the order. But they have some pretty good options here. And then in terms of value options, Jacob Stalin looks okay at catcher. Jesus Sanchez, what's his price tag? 2,800 looks okay. Luis Arias always looks pretty good. So yeah, they don't really, none of these bats stand out besides Jazz Chisholm individually, but I do think Miami's certainly in play today. Let's take a quick look at FanDuel as well, and then maybe I'll build some lineups here. To see if anything stands out that's different on FanDuel. Yeah, so we've got Baltimore as a top stack on FanDuel. That's flipped from DraftKings with the Dodgers. Seattle, I don't think was on the slate for DraftKings. So they are third on the board here. FanDuel didn't lock already, did they? That would be disappointing to me because I have some reserved lineups. No, they did not. Okay. Yeah, it locks at the same time. Huh. That must be, what time is that game? Okay, so that one starts later than the rest. So these two, I think, are on FanDuel, but not DraftKings, maybe. Cincy in Arizona, Kansas City, and Seattle. Yep. Okay, that appears to be the case. So that makes sense. So on FanDuel, you throw Seattle into that top stacks discussion as well. They look like they're going fairly high owned, 9% projected ownership, 6% chance to be the top stack. Would not shock me if Seattle goes a little bit over owned in the live final just because they are the last stack. Like I know that that's something that typically better players not really worried about the time that games start, not thinking like I gotta have a late night hammer, but it is more fun if you do have it. And so if you are at that live final wanting to have a sweat, I could see some players maybe if they got a couple entries saying I'm gonna make one of these Seattle, so I'll have a lineup that is still live later in the day. So we'll see. But they're 9% projected ownership, 6% chance of being the top stack. Otherwise, most of these teams are pretty similar here. I think Cubs look good. Toronto looks really high owned once again. Phillies look good against Drew Rom. Yeah, I think it's largely the same teams here, unless I'm missing any. Obviously, Cincinnati not on the DraftKings slate, but they're a little bit of positive leverage, 4% chance of being the top stack at 3% ownership. Arizona looks pretty good. And then where's Kansas City? I guess they're the only other team that's not on the DraftKings slate. Yeah, they're bottom of they're facing Luis Castillo. So we got to look at the top pitches tool on FanDuel also. Okay, so it's a different slate on FanDuel because Luis Castillo by far the top in terms of top pitcher odds. 11% chance of being the top pitcher, also getting 27% ownership. But yeah, it's a bit different there on FanDuel versus DraftKings today. All right, I should remind you guys that we are, of course, sponsored. This show is sponsored by Caesars. Let me throw the Caesars deal on the screen real quick. So again, $50. You bet $50, you're gonna get $250 in bonus bets. Those are in five $50 increments over the course of 5 weeks. You do need to use each of those. When you get the $50 bet, you need to use it within a week. After that, it expires. But of course, any money that you get out of making the bet, if you win money, you get to keep that money. That doesn't expire. Just the bet itself expires. What else do I need to say? If you or somebody you know has a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. And of course, you need to be 21 plus to play in most states. Fantastic deal. I removed myself from the screen. That's not what I meant to do. If you have sports betting available, highly recommend checking that out. All right. Maybe before I hand build some lineups, maybe we should just take a look quickly at the lineup generator. That might be helpful. Hip Power says, I wish EMAC was this good at producing. He should take notes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, today I haven't even accidentally clicked on that timer in the middle of the show. So doing great here. All right. Yeah, let's take a look at the lineup generator real quick before I hand build anything. Because as we know, every single lineup that you get here in the lineup generator is going to be a plus EV lineup, meaning it's been run through the sims. And, I think 40,000 times I believe is the number of times it's been run through the sims. And over the course of those 40,000 sims, each lineup that you're going to get in the lineup generator has been profitable over the course of 40,000 sims. So it doesn't mean these lineups are necessarily going to be profitable today, but like if you played this slate over and over again over the long haul, these should be profitable lineups. So let's take a look at some. I like to get a mix. So I do all stack types. So we're going to get a mix of 5-3, 5-0, 4-4 lineups. I do all lineup types. So we'll get a mix of chalky, balanced, and contrarian lineups. And then I never lock anybody. I like to let the tools do their thing. All right, interesting. So the first lineup we have here, we have Carlos Rodon, Aaron Nola as the pitchers. And again, let's look back at the top pitchers tool. Aaron Nola, second on the board, 7% chance to be in. Oh, this is FanDuel. Let me move back to DraftKings. Aaron Nola, top of the board, 23% chance of being top 2 pitcher. And then we had Carlos Rodon. Looks like he is 6th on the board with a 13% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. So that is the first pitching pair that we have here. And then we have a 4-4 Orioles and Pirates stack here. Again, looking at the top stacks tool. Oh, again, I think I'm back on FanDuel. So Orioles and Pirates are 4-4 stack. Orioles top of the board. Pirates, again, lower down the board. But as I was saying earlier, I think all of these top teams have pretty low top value odds. So you need to mix in teams that have better top value odds down here. So it's a good pairing there. Baltimore and Pittsburgh looks like a nice pairing for this one. We are using all parts of the lineup, going as far down as Jordan Westburg in the 7 hole. For the most part, actually, we're using just Westburg and Peguero in the 7 hole. Otherwise, we're using mostly the tops of these orders. And this one, somewhat chalky, but it's not even on the far chalky end of the spectrum. All right, another Orioles lineup. So we've got Carlos Rodon. Once again, this one has Yusei Kikuchi as the second pitcher. Kikuchi, second on the board, 18% chance of being the top pitcher. Now this one is a 5-3 Orioles Dodgers stack, going all the way down to Westburg again with the Orioles. Now we have James McCann in there as well. And then the Dodgers, we're using the 1-3-6 with Betts, Peralta, Outman. This one again, fairly chalky. And these tools, both the simulator and the lineup generator, they factor in the correlation. So they factor in that there's better correlation with the 1 and 2 hitters than there is with the 1 and 7 hitters, for example. They factor in the relative correlations as well. So it's pretty cool to have that factored in to the generator as it's making lineups. So this one, even though it looks like, using the 1-3-6, It's not the highest correlation there between like the 3 and the 6, or especially the 1 and the 6 here, but it's factored in exactly the correlation relative to the projection, et cetera, et cetera. So that's all factored in for you. All right. Another Orioles Dodgers. Not going to take a look at. All right. This one's a little bit different. So we got 5 Marlins. It's a 5-0 stack. So we got the 1, 3, 4, 5, 7 from the Marlins. And then we have 3 one-offs with Jack Flaherty and Yusei Kikuchi. All right, I'm just going to go through, save my 20 lineups, see what we end up with. A lot of Nola, a lot of Kikuchi, fairly spread out overall. 60% Orioles is a bit much, but it's not overwhelming to one stack. Sorry, Dimitri asked me to do FanDuel first. I'll move over to FanDuel now. But yeah, so we'll have plenty of time. But these are the DraftKings lineups. Yeah, nothing too shocking. I'm a little bit surprised to get that much of the Orioles, but again, they are top of the board in terms of top stack odds, and there is positive leverage, so not too shocking. All right, let's take a look at FanDuel as well. And then I'll hand build a few lineups. Again, going to do all stack types, all lineup types, not locking anybody. All right, so first lineup on FanDuel, we have Aaron Nola as the pitcher with a 4-4 Orioles and Marlins stack. Again, Nola on, this is FanDuel, right? Yep, no, this is DraftKings. Oh, no. I guess just the, all right, now it's fixed. So we have Nola second on the board with an 8% chance of being the top pitcher here. And then we had a 4-4 Marlins and Orioles for the stack. So Orioles are still top of the board on, we're on FanDuel. Good. Orioles, top of the board, 8% chance of being the top stack. A little bit of positive leverage on FanDuel as well. And then Marlins lower down the board, but they have pretty good top value odds. So again, mixing in one of the value stacks with one of the better projected stacks. Looks good. All right. Save that one. And this one you can see is on the far contrarian end of the spectrum, which I always like to see. Oh, it's kind of interesting. So it's using from the Orioles 5-8-9-1. So a little bit of a wraparound stack with the 8-9 and the 1. And then Gunnar Henderson kind of on an island in that stack. But there's positive correlation again throughout the lineup. Whereas the Marlins, you get the 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a little bit more standard. The correlation pretty obvious, but there's still positive correlation even with the island bats because he's going to get more at bats if the team is doing well. Still might be some run/RBI correlation as well. So looks good. All right. Moving on to our second lineup. So this one jumped all the way to the chalky end of the spectrum. Now we have Luis Castillo as a pitcher. He was top of the board. 11% chance of being the top pitcher. And then we have a 4-4 Pirates and Blue Jays as the stacks. Pirates are, well, first, where are the Blue Jays? 5th on the board against Noah Syndergaard. So negative leverage here, but we're still playing some Blue Jays that make sense in some lineups. And then the Pirates, you save a little bit of salary. Actually, not as good on FanDuel in terms of top value odds. 5% chance of being the top value. Still pretty good. Still some positive leverage there, but not nearly the same as DraftKings. Let's look at the lineup itself. So for the Pirates, we have the 1, 2, 3 big jump to the 7 for Peguero. And then the Blue Jays, we have the 1, 2, 3, 6. So 2 where we're using top of the order and then a kind of a one-off bat within the stack on an island. And this one a little bit chalkier. What are the price tags here? Yeah, I guess the Blue Jays we're not using a particularly expensive Blue Jays here. Even Vlad and Bichette, nobody getting to like 4,000 here. And then the Pirates, we've got some pretty, nobody extremely expensive, nobody who's the flat min either. Interesting. All right, now I'm just going to go through and save 20 lineups. Looks like we're getting a good mix here. 85% Castillo. Did not see that coming. I guess I was looking mostly at the bats there. Big jump though for the bats. We're pretty spread out at bats. 40% Jazz Chisholm, 35% Arise, 30% Bichette, et cetera, et cetera. 55% Marlins stacks on FanDuel, 45% Baltimore, 30% Toronto. Interesting. Should we make some lineups? You guys ready to handle? I mean, I need to because I've reserved them and didn't make the lineup. So yeah, let's make some lineups. If you guys have any specific questions, happy to answer, to look at whatever you want to look at. Sean says Marlins a terrible stack. You can roll a mini Marlins stack. I kind of like the Marlins. I think they look pretty good. I mean, it's let's see what we can build with the Marlins. All right, but let's start on FanDuel because we have oh, you guys got to see my NFL lineup, my early on hand built, and I forgot that I even built an NFL lineup. I think I was just playing around. All right, let me take a look at. Okay, I have not been on this FanDuel browser in a while, apparently. All right, so I always start when I'm hand building by looking at stacks. I like to look at, and I never hand build on a computer. So on my phone, I know that I can look at individual stacks. Oh, I can do that here. All right, what stack do I want to start with? So I'm going to start by looking at the top stacks tool. Who looks good here? Are we on FanDuel? Yeah, we are on FanDuel. Okay. I kind of want to build a Phillies stack against Drew Rom. I think that's going to be where I start here. So I'm going to go straight to where are the Phillies. Plays for Phillies. Okay. So I think you just start with your Harper Schwarber, pretty obvious. I mean, my preference is always just to do the top of the lineup generally, unless there's like great value at the bottom. I'm going to see if I can do that, and I'll come back if I need to. I'm just going to go straight to the top 4 of the order. I like the positions here too. I mean, we do have 2 outfielders, but we're filling a shortstop spot. Now, who can we fill in here? Second baseman, third base. Actually, does Pittsburgh make sense there? So Pittsburgh was one of our better value stacks. I guess they weren't as good on FanDuel. Let me take a look on FanDuel. Who are the best value stacks on FanDuel? Baltimore actually doesn't look bad there. I wonder if I could do that. Miami's a pretty good value stack too. The White Sox. All right, who would make sense for those positions? Oops, that's not where I want to go. That we're trying to fill here. So this is a lot of trial and error for me, just looking at the stacks themselves. I'm going to start by looking at Baltimore. Could I possibly make this with Baltimore? What did I do here? Plays for Orioles. Okay. All right, so we can put Gunnar at third base. We have a second baseman. Could do a one-off from some other team. Let's try this out. Gunnar. Turner is, I assume it would tell me if he was also second base eligible. All right. So we don't have anybody eligible at second base on the Orioles. Throw Santander in there. Hayes is only 2,900. So Gunnar's the 5-hole. Hayes the 4-hole. I like that correlation. Maybe then Santander in the util. How much do I have left here? 10,900. So I'm running low on salary to fill a pitcher and a second baseman. So let me uncheck this. All right, what pitchers do we have that I could start with? So I'm not going to be able to play any of the super expensive guys with this type of build. Jack Flaherty is 8,600. So if I could find a 2,300 second baseman, that could work. Also has that positive correlation with the Baltimore Bats. Let me see what I can do there. Carlos Rodon is only 6,800. That's pretty interesting. All right, let me start with Flaherty. And if there's no second baseman that looks good, then I would probably try the Carlos Rodon route instead. Donovan Solano in the leadoff hole. Who would you rather play, Andy Ibanez or Donovan Solano? Actually, here's what I can do. You can look in the top batters tool. Do we have this for FanDuel? Yeah. All right, looking at second baseman. Top values at second baseman. Mookie Betts, top of the board. Okay. So I'm trying to find somebody 23. Actually, let me just go by fantasy points. Who's the top that's 2,300 or less? John Birdie. Donovan Solano, number 2. All right, so going back to FanDuel, and what's the difference there? Solano is about 9. Birdie is also about 9. Okay. Where's Birdie batting? He's in the 9 hole. I don't trust it. I think I'd rather go to Solano here. All right. Looks like a fine lineup using the 4 top of the order Phillies. Then we're using the 3-4-5 from Baltimore. Solano as a one-off in the leadoff hole. Jack Flaherty. I think that's pretty good lineup for FanDuel. And again, looking at Flaherty, let me look at him again in the top pitchers tool for FanDuel. Yeah, he's 6th overall in terms of top pitcher odds. Just a 5% chance of being the top pitcher, but it's pretty flat. He is pretty high owned. This might be a fairly chalky stack. But Baltimore not super high owned. Phillies, yeah, I think it's fine. I think that's a good lineup. I'm going to submit it. And then I'm going to do one more on FanDuel. Oh, wait, let's see. What if I want to just edit one of them? I'm so much better on my phone than on the computer. All right, let me see. I don't want to override this one. Well, let's see. So we did Baltimore and Phillies. Now I'm going to do 2 completely different stacks. So again, I usually start with the bats when I'm making stacks. Could try this Miami one just to piss Sean off. Sean going off about how much he hates the Miami stack. They're relatively cheap, it looks like, on FanDuel though. So let me see what they look like. $3,200 Soler, 3,100 Burger, 3,000 Jazz Chisholm, and 2,900. I mean, man, that's a strong 2 through 5. That's not even playing a rise. First base, outfield, third base, outfield. Maybe I skip over Soler, fill up that second base spot. Let me see what that looks like. All right, shortstop, and then you can use a team that has 2 good outfielders and a shortstop. So I feel like the White Sox might make sense here. Let's see how the White Sox, what their lineup looks like. Do we have Tim Anderson? Yep, Tim Anderson in the lineup. Oh, no Luis Robert today. Did not realize that. Okay. That hurts a little bit, but if we throw Benintendi, Vaughn, we've got the 1, 2, 4, Eloy. What do we have left at pitcher? 11,900 left at pitcher. I gotta do all. Okay, that's what I want to do. No, I want to do all teams. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Luis Castillo is the pitcher. 900 left over if I wanted to upgrade anybody. But I don't feel the need to. I think that looks like a good lineup. All right, this is gonna override my other one, isn't it? Yep. That's what I needed to do. I needed to go there. All right, let me, is this one better as my, I'm just going to go over to DraftKings, make some lineups. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Anything I'm missing? Mike Campbell says, LOL, Tim Anderson sucks. I mean, he's all right. He's not that bad. He fills the shortstop spot. Okay, Sean likes a two-man. Which two do you like, Sean? Did I skip over Soler? Was he one of the two that you liked? Sean says, Pirates struck out 9 times yesterday against the Cubs pitcher, wondering if Assad could be sneaky here. I thought Assad actually looked pretty good in the top pitchers tool. Looks at least playable here. This is on FanDuel, coming in at no ownership. Let's move over to DraftKings. Yeah, looks like, I mean, we got some positive leverage there. Don't hate it. You have less than 5 minutes to get your lineups in. So if you haven't already done so, would recommend doing so. I might have to use the lineup generator to make my lineups, but I'm going to try to hand build one real quick here. Just do probably just one on DraftKings because I don't think I'm going to have time to do multiple. Again, I think I'm not going to do Toronto here. Let's see who would look good on DraftKings in particular. I kind of want to make a Cub stack. Yeah, I'm gonna do a Cub stack and then build out with maybe the White Sox again. Maybe I'll try Pittsburgh. Let's see. All right, so if I do a Cub stack, this is what I want to do. Okay. All right. Cubs lineup. Who do I want to put? Man, Nico Horner is 5,800. I feel like you got to start with Bellinger if you're playing the Cubs. Probably want to use Yan Gomes as the catcher from the 6-hole. And then from there, Suzuki. Yeah, I think just build Hap looks good. And then who do I want of these expensive guys? I think I'd rather play Swanson at shortstop. We'll see. I could flip back to Horner, second baseman. All right, I'm going to start there. And then who can play second and third base? Oh, shit. We have under 2 minutes left. All right. I'm going to do this quick. Where's Pittsburgh on here? Oh, same game. Right. Okay. All right. Second base. Oh, Paguero was looking pretty solid. Third base. Brian Hayes. Outfield. Brian Reynolds, maybe. Not sure what I have left exactly. Oh, average 6,000 per player. Maybe I go Sawinski. He's right next to Paguero. All right, so now I have 8,300 left per pitcher. Are there any good? I could go to Blackburn. Do I do the ROM thing? Risky as hell. Yeah, let's try it out. ROM and Verlander. We're short for time. I'm going to throw that one in there. All right. I'm not going to have time to make another lineup here, so I guess I'm just going to use players that are not locking yet. Do we have any other questions? I mean, we have 30 seconds left. Yeah, please hit the like button. Thank you, Charles, for that reminder. Please hit the like button if you haven't already done so. Sean says you cannot play Rom. I mean, I get it. He's like, I'd rather play the Phillies than Rom. Don't get me wrong. I don't think that Rom is likely to succeed, but just looking at how cheap he is, his strikeout upside from the minors, he got 4 strikeouts in that first start. Like he showed a little bit of that upside, and he's coming in at no ownership at 5,000. I think you can make a case for Rom. I get it if you don't want to play him. If I had better options there, I probably would have gone there, but I think that he is okay. Powerbooks, who do you like on the late slate? What do you mean by is there a late? Is it the same teams or is it just the same? Hang on one sec. All this stuff updating. Do you mean this afternoon slate on DraftKings? Yeah, I mean, obviously Luis Castillo is going to be your top pitching option there. I guess I can go straight to call it the afternoon. Yeah, afternoon slate. So Seattle looks like they are your top stack. Cincinnati looks like Kansas City, the only stack that does not look particularly. Oh, on FanDuel. All right. We'll do that. We'll do that real quick since I'm still here. Thank you guys very much for hanging out. I know most of you are going to be checking out now because we got the main slate done. But as long as I'm still here, I can do the late slate. All right. So FanDuel, still the 2-gamer, still kind of the same analysis. It looks like it's Seattle is your top stack of the day. Cincy, Arizona both look pretty good. Kansas City, obviously a tough matchup, and actually getting some ownership, not even huge leverage against Luis Castillo. And then for pitchers, FanDuel late. Yeah, Castillo, top of the board by a margin there. And then pretty flat. Marsh Ashcraft and then Slade Ciccone doesn't look as good. Who do you guys think Matt is playing in the final? I wonder if he told me he was going to text me his lineup at some point today. So I don't think he has done so yet, but hopefully I'll get that. Hopefully Matt will post it on Twitter so we can root for him today. He's got 2 shots at two in 125 chance at $500,000. So really cheering for Bellman today. I don't know who else. I think I know a few other people in that FanDuel live final. If I had to, who do you guys think he's going to play? Let me see. In terms of stacks, I would guess that Bellman went with the Cubs. They look really good here. He is. I know he's big on what does it look like when they win, when they do well. Could see him going to Toronto just because they could put up huge runs here. I would guess the Phillies. Phillies would be my number 1 guess for who Bellman played in a stack, followed probably by. Oh, the Dodgers look pretty good too. Phillies number 1, followed by I'll go with the Cubs as his second team. Those are going to be my guesses. If you guys have any guesses, William says Baltimore. He guesses. Oh, Dub says Neil, we need 2 of your home run picks. Yeah, you're right. I'm the only guy doing home run picks, so I'm going to give you 2 of them. I mean, I kind of did already, right? I just showed you. I showed you my process. Seattle was yesterday. All right, we can take a look at once again at my home run picks. So we're going to do all home run odds. Yeah, Kyle Schwarber. That's my home run pick, followed by Vlad Guerrero. So I'm giving you 2. There's no course day, so you can play anybody. Those would be. I just go to the top of the board. Kyle Schwarber, Vlad Guerrero, currently my top home run odds plays of the day. Sportsbook says Corbin Carroll, easy bomb on Asscraft. That's a good nickname. Appreciate you, Power Books. All right, I think that is going to do it. I'm going to go eat some. Got some leftover deep dish pizza waiting for me downstairs. Looking forward to that. And I gotta go finish those DraftKings lineups. I can't use anybody who locked already, but I can do my best. Thank you guys very much for watching. Good luck today. Hit that like button if you haven't already done so. Yeah. All right. I'll talk to you. I'll be back tomorrow.